Hey, in this presentation I will first briefly account for the processes described by Eva Braff, and then I will try to explain how those processes have supported the work of the group in Assignment 5. And finally I will share some reflections on what I have learned during this course. I'll start with the knowledge processes in theory. Eva Braff presents 5 processes that summarizes central knowledge management activities. The first, managing knowledge processes, relates to leadership and includes activities such as defining an overall knowledge vision and to allocate resources to knowledge work. The second one, knowledge planning, includes activities such as mapping the knowledge needed now and in the future in the organization, and to plan for and create conditions for knowledge development. Knowledge gain relates to input, that is to the capture of knowledge that is not articulated within the organization, and that may be done through, for example, external cooperation and external courses. Knowledge refinement includes processing knowledge and the development of knowledge. It is about dialogue and reflection, since the knowledge gained may be processed through dialogue and reflection. Finally, knowledge sharing is about making knowledge in the organization accessible. This includes creating a suitable infrastructure for making knowledge available. A knowledge sharing infrastructure may contain media such as databases, search engines and search tools, and mailing lists, and also different forums such as collaborations and seminars and meetings for making personal and collective knowledge accessible orally. Now we'll turn to the knowledge processes in the group when working with Assignment 5. I have excluded the first process, managing knowledge, because we did not have a leadership and we did not create a knowledge vision or things like that in our group. So I will begin with knowledge planning. I think that the competency maps that we did in Assignment 3 are part of the knowledge planning process. In our group we also had planning meetings in the beginning of the project where we discussed what kind of knowledge we would need for the assignment. And we gained knowledge that we did not have within the group via input of knowledge from, for example, books and articles about knowledge management. And the knowledge we had gained were then refined. I think that an example of that process in the group is when we had a dialogue about how to survey knowledge management in an organization. We discussed what we had read and how we could use that knowledge when creating a survey. I think that example of reflection can be when I reflected on the questions in the questionnaire we had created. After collecting the questionnaire and starting to do the analysis, I thought a lot about if we should have used other questions, and reflected on which questions were good and which questions was not so good. Finally, the knowledge sharing process is about making knowledge accessible. And in our group we used Google Drive and email for sharing knowledge in text. And we also used forums such as seminars, because I think that our meetings on Skype were a lot like seminars, where we shared knowledge orally. Now I will try to summarize what I have learned during the course, and how I may use that knowledge in the future. First, I have learned a lot about the concepts knowledge, information, data. And I think that before this course I had not reflected much upon these concepts.
But now I find them and the relationship between them very interesting. And I think that I will continue to reflect and think about their meaning in different contexts. Secondly, I have learned that knowledge management is a hybrid discipline that covers human resources, information technologies, and organizational development. This also means that knowledge management in practice needs to include all areas of an organization. And I have also learned a lot about knowledge management in practice. I think that the literature on the course stresses the importance of collaborations and networks for creating, developing and sharing knowledge. And I think that I never before thought about collaborations in that way. But now I see the value of collaborations from a knowledge perspective. And one thing that I think that I will try to suggest in the organization where I work is building a knowledge asset. I often feel like we invent the wheel over and over again in my organization, and therefore I think the methods for capturing knowledge and making knowledge accessible throughout the organization are very interesting. And I think that building a knowledge asset seems to be a good way to capture knowledge in an organization and to make it accessible to those who work within the organization. I think that is about 10 minutes, so I will end my presentation here. Thank you.